Welcome back to another edition of Ballaholics, the show for those who simply can't get enough about basketball. Today, it's a little hard for me, allergy season, I had the sniffles. It's so depressing, this time of year. I have allergies, I'm all by myself once again. I guess Sauce still has his diarrhea.
Excuse me, Sam. I think you forgot about me. I'd like to say I'm back for another edition of Ballaholics. I'm not gone. I'm here still, Listen, I had to take a brief hiatus, but I'm back. I'm back. Like Jesus, I rose again, okay? I'm back. And I'm excited for another edition. Sam, wow. Sorry, it's been a while, but hey, it's great to be back.
It's great to have you. I mean, I don't know if I'm dreaming right now, but obviously I'm not dreaming because I still have my sniffles.
Yeah, sniffles still there, so.
Wow. Okay,
we are.
Without further ado, I'd love to talk more about, see how you're doing, but we gotta get on to the first segment. We gotta talk about Dame time, because it's time. It's Dame time.
Okay.
It's time, because Damian Lillard hits a, over a 30-foot shot.
Oh my
The finish
God.
OKC.
They're
out. Like, that's it.
Yeah, he's done. They're done, just like that.
I mean, that's crazy.
37 feet out.
That was actually his 50th. That was his 50th point too.
That was perfect. That was just so storybook. 50th point, step back 37-footer over Paul George. That's unreal, And my favorite thing about the whole thing was his reaction afterwards. He just looked straight at the camera. He's mean. Like he's cold.
How it is. They were talking. They both sides were chipping at each other all game. And then as soon as he hits that buzzer beater, first you see him, this little bird. You see, chirping goodbye. And then the camera goes to him, and he just straight face. He's like, yo. He's like, yeah, that's how we do it. I have the last word. Paul George. You try and say, oh, it was a bad shot. Paul George, don't talk. Your team just lost. Your team just lost. You're out. Man. For a second straight year. What a disappointment. I want to go on.
That was a disappointment.
Sauce, who do you blame for OKC's struggles in the postseason?
That's a great question, and, I hate to say it, the obvious answer is, of course, Russell Westbrook. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's really going in on Russell Westbrook. I think a little too much, but, you still can't deny that he has been playing incredibly poorly. His efficiency, come on, what is he doing? You have one of these stats here, averaging close to 40 shots on 41%. It's just ridiculous. And the last game, I think he went 10 for 31 or something like that. He basically shot his team out of the game. As you saw, it was a 3-point game. And the rest of the Thunder team were really hot, actually. They were about 56% from the field. And meanwhile, you have Russell Westbrook chucking up shots. I think if he goes more of a facilitator role, he's still an amazing player, but he has been trying to take over. I think you have a point here as well. Hero ball. I don't know if you want to say anything about that because this is a trend. This is not the first time with hero ball.
See, here's my frustration with the OKC Thunder. The more and more, I think of Kevin Durant leaving, the more I actually understand why he left. Because with Russell Westbrook, ever since Kevin Durant's left, Russell Westbrook has never made it out of the first round, losing to Houston, losing to Utah last year, and most recently losing to the Portland Trailblazers, which you have the talent in OKC to beat these teams, and yet you don't. You haven't even got to, out of the first round facing Golden State, and it really pisses me off, especially last game. You're up 15 with 7 minutes left.
That's crazy.
You're up 9 with under 2 minutes remaining, and you somehow find a way to blow the lead. Paul George, he had 36 points, he was 14 for 20, and yet for some reason, in Russell Westbrook's mind, he thought that he should be the one, after his cold night, to try and hit the last shot.
Which is ridiculous.
It's all about hero ball, and Russell Westbrook's, I don't question the way Russell Westbrook plays, in terms of intensity. He's gonna bring it to you every night. That's something I really respect out of him. Mm-hmm. Every minute on the floor, whether it's the regular season or the playoffs, Russell Westbrook is gonna give it to you, and he's gonna go hard. The defensive grit that he brings to that team is amazing. It cannot be overstated, and I love Russell Westbrook. But his decision-making in the clutch is extremely questionable.
Yeah, it is. It's very questionable. Clearly that game, he should have deferred to Paul George, And the thing is, we had hope, because if you saw, early in the season, he's done that. He has deferred to Paul George in the clutch, and he has given him the final shot. And Paul George also answered, playoff Pete, no OT tonight. But that wasn't the same thing that happened. He, again, tried to take over, and, there's no point, You have better teammates to take that shot, Pretty much everyone on the floor would have been a better shot than that, just because he's not a great shooter, And instead he didn't defer. Hero ball again. KD was getting frustrated. There was times where, look at when they're up 3-1 against Golden State, that was basically hero ball for 3 games in a row. Because they were up. It wasn't like they just Golden State with a fire, they're just destroying them. They were still up the Thunder, but every time in the fourth, KD and Russ would take turns chucking shots. And then you got to ask, is that Russell Westbrook's fault?
Here, but wait. Because we're talking about Russell Westbrook, and look, I think Russell Westbrook, you blame him a good amount. You can blame him. He's fair to blame. But there's certainly more to go around. I mean, Paul George, MVP? They were saying Paul George to be the MVP? MVP my ass. Playoff P? More like swaggy P?
Oh, man.
What happened to Paul George in the playoffs? I did not see playoff P. He went 32% from three-point land in this series. To put that in perspective, Damian Lillard went like 44% or something from like over the 25 feet.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And yet that's a higher field goal percentage, field goal percentage than Paul George. And Paul George's overall field goal percentage, the efficiency, yeah, he put up glamoring, points, glamoring stats with the points. He looked good. He had like 20 points, plus points in, these past couple of games. Right. But you look at how he does it, and he took, 37, he shot 37% from the field. So they're just not getting good looks. That entire series, Paul George's field goal percentage was 37%.
That's really bad.
That's not gonna cut it. And like you said earlier, OKC, they're prone. They don't like to play. They don't have a system. That's the problem with them. They like to play hero ball. It's Russell Westbrook. Now it's Paul George. Scapegoat Carmelo Anthony all you want.
Oh yeah.
Because both years, this year and last year, guess what? Guess how many games OKC won? In total, 50 games this year and last year, with the same result. Losing in 5 games out of the first round. You don't blame Melo. That's not a Melo thing. That is the system's fault. It's the problem in OKC because they have no offensive system. Also, what was the defense in OKC? Because in the beginning of the season, actually, in December, OKC had the number 1 ranked defense. They were number 1 in defense to December, earlier in the season.
Yeah.
And then something happened, I guess, in January and February. They lost that grit and passion that they play on the defensive floor. Because, look, the strategy for OKC is they have a grit and grind system, so they're going to tire you out defensive. They're going to play physical defense, and they're going to convert that. They're going to get a lot of steals. They were like top 5 in steals, and then they're going to convert in the offensive end. And they just weren't doing that because their defense, they were not defending. Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum running pick and rolls all the time. And then they couldn't even switch on the pick and roll. They were struggling to try and switch or play back. And once they were trying to play back and try and switch like that, then it would open shots for Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, we talked about it, but the Portland duo completely outplayed the OKC duo, And the crazy thing is going into the series, people would not question who had more talents. People, it's hard to see right now because we're all enamored with Dame right now, but going into the series, everyone thought that the Thunder was going to win because of the Nurkic injury. And also, everyone thought that Paul George and Russell Westbrook is more talented than Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. However, we saw that, again, sometimes the sum is greater than the parts. You can have all the talent that you want, but again, without a system or without, the mentality, and you have the clutch mentality where you go hero ball, it doesn't matter, Like, basketball, it's not just about talent, too. It's about, how the team works together. And OKC does not really work that well together,
Before I go on, saying how much I went on more about OKC, I just want to, I need to take my time to applaud the Portland Trailblazers, Terry Stotts, and Damian Lillard for what he's done for that team. He averaged 33 points for that series. He's actually the leader. He's actually leading the league in scores, points right now for the entire playoffs. And look, he has 6 assists also. Guess what? That's a misleading number because if you see the IQ that Damian Lillard plays with on the floor, he's always making the right pass and he's always making passes to get his teammates easy points. He's elevating the performance of his teammates. We saw in Game 1 when Enes Kanter went off. He had 20-plus points. That was due to Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard makes his teammates better. And I hate how it goes unnoticed. He's one of the most underrated players. One of the most underappreciated players. Like James Harden, I think, offensively.
I actually agree with that. And to be honest, I actually want to issue an apology to Damian Lillard. Not because I doubted him. Not saying that I did not doubt him. But, the first thing we talked about was OKC struggles. And we always talk about how Damian Lillard's underappreciated. Anytime, if the Portland Trailblazers win, OKC underperformed. How about Portland Trailblazers just played really well? You know what I mean? Of course, it's a combination of both. But honestly, we have to tip our hat to Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum and the rest of the Trailblazers. Because it wasn't just OKC underperforming. The Portland Trailblazers took advantage of that, and they literally capped off the series in 5 games. And, again, Damian Lillard, always underappreciated. He always has that chip on his shoulder coming from Oakland. No one really talks about him, which is weird because obviously he's one of the top 3 point guards, probably the second best point guard right now. Mm-hmm. And it's crazy that we still do it even now. Again, we talk about OKC. Let's talk about the Trailblazers. Why are they so good? Because they are really amazing. And I mean, the whole thing was just, I think, a perfect dichotomy. You know, Russell Westbrook versus Damian Lillard. It was just the really loud, emotional.
You had the most underrated point guard against one of the most overrated point guards.
Yeah, and stylistically, you have this very quiet guy. He goes about his business, Damian Lillard, and then Russell Westbrook. He'll talk in your face and he'll trash talk. I like
the
that.
little baby carrots.
He's a little baby, you know, and I like that. But again, people like look at that and they just see cockiness and they see, you know, they want him to be humble. Russell Westbrook talking back to reporters and stuff like that. Damian Lillard goes about his business. You know, something that was really cool is after the press conference, Damian Lillard quotes Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And I think that takes a lot of inspiration from his game. And he says, it is the unemotional, reserved, calm, detached warrior who wins. Not the hothead seeking vengeance and not the ambitious seeker of fortune. Who is he talking about here?
You really did in your history, didn't you?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm glad you
Thanks. Had to bust out the textbook.
you taking a history class right now?
Yeah, History 103.
Look, Damian Lillard, like you said, he is the number 2 best point guard. It's time. We got to start talking about the number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, look, he's clutch. Hitting 2 shots. Look, 'cause we looked 4 years ago, 4 years ago,
Houston.
against Houston, Damian Lillard hits that 3, that clutch 3.
That was cold.
You
They
know,
were down 2, too.
They were down.
That was
Had they
clutch.
lost that, they extend that series.
Yeah.
Now here he is, Dame time. This
Dame
series
time again.
goes
Step back
in,
37.
he shoots 50 points with over 50%, you know, from the field.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, Damian Lillard, for me, he is the closest person to Steph Curry. This dude has limitless range. He went 10 for 18 from the three-point line that last game.
That's ridiculous.
Let me put something in respect for you guys. Okay, so if you're shooting 30 from 40 feet in the NBA, the average field goal percentage for that is 26%. When Damian Lillard shoots from 30 to 40 feet, his field goal percentage is 39%. Put that in perspective. That's more than Paul George's regular three-point percentage, which is 32%. He's limitless range. And look, Kyrie, good for you. He's better than you. You have LeBron. Even in Boston, you have Jason Tatum. You have so much talent around you in Boston. This team went to the conference finals without Kyrie last year.
Right.
That wouldn't work in Portland. That's not going to fly. You're not playing in the West, Kyrie. Damian Lillard's playing in the West. He's carrying this team. You know, they play his team, and I like it. He knows to play within the system, get the most out of his teammates.
Yeah, he
CJ
does.
McCollum's nice, but without Damian Lillard, that team isn't going anywhere. That team isn't making the playoffs. Damian Lillard, to me, is the second best player. He's ahead of Russell Westbrook, and he proved that to me in this series against OKC.
Yeah, and I think Kyrie's probably third if you're looking at it right now, especially come playoffs, because being able to score is a whole other thing, and we'll talk about Kyrie later. But I think Damian Lillard has surpassed that, and it's great because I think he actually is getting the recognition that he does deserve. And I think it's a little overblown how overrated he is. He did make first team All NBA. He's a multiple time All-Star, but he doesn't get talked about enough. That's the thing, But I mean, people have been talking about him, and I think for a lot of people it's just so satisfying. Because they look at Russell Westbrook and a lot of people don't like him. Stat patter, emotional, rude to refs, rude to reporters, and then you come the direct opposite. And Damian Lillard, it was just the perfect storm for him to finally kind of blow up, and finally people to appreciate his greatness. And
look, I want to say something. I want to make this clear because Damian Lillard is, I have him number 2 as a, point guard. I have him over Russell Westbrook. I probably have Westbrook. If we're only talking about talent, Westbrook's the most talented point guard in the league. I think Westbrook's the second most talented point guard in the league. Talent.
Second most? Who's first?
Curry's still first.
Okay, good.
I think Westbrook's still the second most talented. But in order to utilize his talent, Russell Westbrook has to gear his game more towards the team. It can't be all about him and trying, to just play. He has to actually look for his teammates more. He handles the ball a lot. His usage rate is out of the roof. You have to allow your teammates to play more, and you also have to learn how to shoot as well. Because in today's NBA, that is crucial. I mean, his shooting was tumultuous. It was tumultuous. It was disgusting.
And people like to hate on Ben Simmons, but he always doesn't shoot the ball. He knows that he's not a good shooter. But Russell Westbrook will continually jack up role-efficient shots over and over again and shoot his team out of the game. One thing you can talk about Ben Simmons, terrible jump shot, worse than Russell Westbrook, but he doesn't shoot it, And he's not ruining his team through that direct means, I don't think it's over for Russell Westbrook, but you got to talk about how his legacy is affected by the series.
It definitely damages him.
How badly do you think it does so?
Again, like you said, ever since Kevin Durant left, he hasn't been out of the first round.
Yeah.
So, you lose 3 playoff series. You lose to Houston, who doesn't have Chris Paul. You lose to the Utah Jazz with a rookie Donovan Mitchell, not taking anything away from his, stellar rookie season. But you lose to a rookie where you had, two other All-Stars around you. And you look at Russell Westbrook's teammates over the years, you've gotten to play with Kevin Durant, James Harden, Serge Ibaka. You played with Victor Oladipo. You played with Paul George. You've played with Carmelo Anthony. And yet, you can't even make it to the finals ever since Kevin Durant, ever since 2012 or 2011.
Yeah.
And, hasn't made it out of the first round.
Yeah.
Since,
I think the worst part about it too is I think people would be okay with it if he was doing poorly individually. Maybe you're just not that good of a player. But the thing is, we have this direct opposition where he's having insane individual stats, insane counting stats, and yet very poor team success. So again, the kind of argument stat pattern just comes up. Because
I don't believe in the stat.
Let me finish.
No. I don't want to hear it.
If you're gonna do so great individually, how come that doesn't translate to team success?
Okay, can I pull up a stat for you?
Yes, go ahead.
I'll pull up a stat for you. I couldn't find a stat this season. Last season, when Russell Westbrook had a triple-double, his team won 82% of the time.
I saw that, and I'm not calling him.
So I don't want to hear that triple-doubles. It doesn't help you. I don't want to hear that.
Triple-double has become a lot less valued.
What I think Russell Westbrook needs is he needs a coaching change. I'm going to get to that later in our next little segment. But Russell Westbrook, in this system that they have, the coach isn't holding them accountable. They're playing iso ball. It's him and Paul George playing hero ball, trying to get the last shot and trying to be clutch. It does not work. We've seen it. That's why Kevin Durant wanted to go to Golden State, where they play within a system.
Yeah, well, I would definitely agree with that. I think the biggest thing is the coach, which we could get on real quickly. Okay. Last thing I just want to say about the legacy is, I think of him as Dirk pre-2011. LeBron before his first title, 2012, and MJ before he won his first title. They had huge criticism because they had incredible individual success.
Not the same.
Had incredible individual success, but they had no team success. And the thing is, winning cures all. If Russell Westbrook is able to take a team for the finals, maybe even the conference finals, take him to a championship, a lot of this will be
He can't be
resolved.
the leader. He can't be the leader. He's second. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Russell Westbrook. He's not a superstar. Superstars, for me, they're the top-tier players in the league. They are the LeBrons. They are the Steph Currys. They are the Kawhi Leonards. An all-star. Russell Westbrook can be an all-star. All-stars are second. There's a Kyrie Irving to the league. Damian Lillard, I put second. Those players. Russell Westbrook is a second. He's an all-star.
I mean, he's
not a superstar.
He's a superstar in the regular season.
Team.
He's a superstar in the regular season.
No, I don't believe in that. He's not.
He averaged 3 triples, 3 seasons of straight.
You just said earlier that it doesn't mean anything.
Yes, but only a superstar can do that. The thing is, what kind of player can do that? Given the usage rate, who else can do that?
Look, for me, all stars can put up fantastic stats, and they can be, they can be talented. They can be an all-star. They can be an all-star. But in order to be a superstar, not only do you have to put up the stats, but your team has to win. You have to be able to lead your team in the playoffs to a win.
I believe in the regular season he's 100% a superstar. I think in the playoffs his lack of shooting and his hero ball always gets to him, and teams have a whole game plan against him, and it works every time.
Okay. All right, let's get on to our next segment. Okay. The next mini. So
yeah.
you are the OKC GM right now. You are Sam Presti. Okay.
Yeah.
You've just lost the last 3 playoff series. You haven't gotten out in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do? What are you doing? What are you gonna do?
You get a new head coach.
What are your moves?
You get a new head coach. Obviously, that's the biggest thing. I mean, people have even talked about moving Steven Adams, which is not that bad of an idea if you actually think about it. Not that Steven Adams isn't a great player. Again, I actually think his offense is a bit overrated. His post game is not as strong as people think. His post game is usually just kind of chuck it up, and it's not really that efficient. But again, Steven Adams is a great player, and the thing is, people get blindsided because he's a great guy too, and he's really funny and he's an awesome dude. But you gotta think, coaching change needs to be done. Potential thing, because Steven Adams might not work if Russell Westbrook is not gonna space the floor very well. They might need to stretch 4 or 5 in order to kind of free up the game. I think definitely needed a head coaching change. You talk about a team with Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook going to the finals one time. I don't care. That's underperforming, okay? The reason they made it to the finals was pure talent. The pure talent of Kevin Durant. And people look at Sam Presti's series against the Spurs, where they won in like 5 or 6 games, and they always talk about that. He had one amazing series, but let's consider everything else too. I think it's time. I'd like to hear your thoughts on that, but I think it's time for him to go.
Okay, wait, who?
Head coach, yeah.
Okay,
Steven Adams is not.
So I'm gonna say. I have steps. I have a step-by-step thing that we're gonna do.
Like a game
I'm the
GM.
I am now the GM of OKC. I am the Oklahoma City Thunder GM. Step 1: we are firing the hell out of Billy Donovan. Bye-bye. The offensive system is not going to work. As a head coach, you have to be able to hold your players accountable. Billy Donovan cannot hold Russell Westbrook or Paul George accountable because I don't know why, I guess he doesn't want to go and tell them how to play. Right. He doesn't want to do that.
Right.
But they need a head coach who's not going to be afraid to tell players how to play and get a system around them. And I look at someone like Mark Jackson. Look at his pedigree on the defensive end. First off, that team needs better defense. And Mark Jackson brings that toughness, that grit that OKC has. That's what's a strength about them. OKC, as much as we like to talk about the knocking out of the first round in a couple of years, guess what? They play with grit. They grind it out. With Paul George and Russell Westbrook, that's a tough. They play with tough attitude.
And the talent.
They have the heart. So Mark Jackson's going to go in there. He'll solidify them defensively. He'll make them more consistent on that end too. He's not afraid to hold players accountable, and that's what you need. From a superstar like Russell Westbrook or Paul George.
He kind of needs to be put in line.
You need a head coach that's going to put you guys in line. I guess my one concern with Mark Jackson would be if his offensive system might be a little questionable.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's been around Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. I feel like he's learned his mistake. Right. And I think if he came there, I think he'd be able to, he'd be better equipped than the head coach in place currently. Yeah. To, work with that problem. But I feel like the shooting, that's more of a GM problem. So that's me. So I'm looking at free agency. When your best shooter is Paul George, which is your superstar, you're in terrible shape. You need desperately to surround these superstars that you have, these perennial talents. You need to surround them with shooters, with marksmen, with snipers. I'm looking at notable free agents. I'm looking at J.J. Redick or Danny Green to come in there. Even Marco Bellinelli, maybe trade for him. One of those shooters to just surround them with because
you need some space.
They need it desperately. You see, Russell Westbrook and Paul George drive. They're both slashers. So now they have Jeremy Grant. And, Dennis Schroeder, who's the shooting guard now?
Yeah, exactly. Terrence Ferguson.
Terrence Ferguson. Yeah. Look, I'm not taking anything away from them, but they're just not good for the system that they have.
They're not smart.
You look at what Milwaukee did. They surrounded Giannis Antetokounmpo. He can't shoot. He drives. They put Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, Nikola Mirotic. They constructed a roster around them. You got to do the same with them. So you get 3-pointers in it, 3-point specialists. Also, you need more versatile defenders. In this OKC series with the Portland Trailblazers, what was happening was, Portland was running pick and rolls on them from, up in the key. And what happened was they were creating separation with pick and rolls because guess what? The players couldn't switch. They were not versatile enough to switch and guard multiple positions. So they had to try and switch and get through the screen. And then that allowed Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum enough space to get shots off. And, obviously Portland's an amazing 3-point, shooting team.
Of course.
And it's not even like, you get past Portland, you still got to face Golden State. Yeah. So this is a trend you're going to have. If you really want to get the title and have a chance, you need to have shooters. You need to have versatile defenders, and you need to have shooters in today's NBA.
Yeah.
And number 3, this one I'm not, entirely sold on. But again, you need to have flexibility. You want to try and bring in these free agents, or you want to try and trade assets. You need to. Someone has to go, and for me, that's Steven Adams. I mean, he's making $25 million this year, so that's the cap room because you don't want to trade Russell Westbrook and Paul George. I'm not blowing it up just yet. Okay?
Yeah, no, they don't.
Steven Adams. Look, I'm not taking anything away from him. He's great defensively. However, if you look at these other teams, you might say, why? Steven Adams is great in the interior. Why would you get rid of him? You look at Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert, but when you look at those teams. They're surrounded by shooters. Even Houston, James Harden, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker, and in Utah, Joe Ingles, Donovan Mitchell. So with OKC, you have Russell Westbrook and Paul George. You need to have a 3-and-D, try interior presence, player. So someone like Brook Lopez. I know Brook Lopez would probably stay in Milwaukee, but you want to find someone like him to bring in OKC.
Yeah.
So that's what you need to do. I feel like you need to get rid of Steven Adams to create more cap room. You need more flexibility to make these moves.
He's not a good fit for the team.
After you do all of that, then I think you give it another run next year and you see what happens.
I agree with that. I think the title window is still open and they should keep trying. So yeah.
Don't
blow it up yet, basically.
Some of the wings I forgot to mention. I actually have some ideas because I have Robert Covington. Try and trade for him maybe. Trevor Ariza, PJ Tucker, these guys. Look what Houston did last year against Golden State with all these, versatile defenders.
Exactly.
That's the recipe for success against, a team like Golden State.
Yeah, positional basketball with everyone being able to everyone being able to be good shooters. Should we move on? We should move on, probably.
All right, let's move on. Yeah. Let's get on to our next segment. Let's talk about the Clippers and the Warriors because I was ready to talk about Golden State and Houston. But not just yet,
Yes.
Hold on, because the Los Angeles Clippers, pulled an upset a couple of days ago in Game 5. Yeah. Sweet Lou and Montrezl Harrell went off. to defeat the Golden State Warriors in Game 5.
Oh, yeah, they did. You're looking at the Warriors right now, and people are just saying that they're underperforming, but you also, just like the Trailblazers, gotta give these Clippers some credit. I mean, Doc Rivers, what is the man doing? Again, he always proves me wrong. He really takes the most out of this team and brings so much, again, this is another example of the sum is greater than the parts. And, I think this team's also underrated. They don't have any clear all-star, not in the West, of course. But, again, you look at a bunch of solid players overall, and you got to respect that as well. But they're also really playing above their expectations. And the crazy thing is the Warriors. I mean, the Warriors definitely, their defense. What's happened with the defense? They're on 115 points per game, and this is against the Clippers. They're not exactly like the offensive powerhouse that they're going to be facing in Houston. You know what I mean? And this is a kind of a bad sign. They're used to be very good with the defense, and it just looks like they're complacent. I don't see that defensive intensity. I think Iguodala is still an amazing defender, and even now, despite his age. But again, I just don't see that effort. Again, you saw three-peats and stuff like that. A lot of teams get complacent. They always say that the third year or the fourth year is the hardest, because you've been there. The toll of being there in the playoffs so many times, having so little rest, it takes up. But mentality, I think, is a big part of it.
Look, if I am the Toronto Raptors, if I am the Los Angeles Lakers, if I'm the New York Knicks, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I am very worried. I'm very anxious because right now, the Los Angeles Clippers, they're making a very strong case for these upcoming free agents, Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard.
They are.
They are really making a strong case. I'm a little worried as a Knicks fan because, look, this Clippers team was not even supposed to be in the playoffs, period.
Yeah.
The beginning of the season, Pat Beverly says, we're the best team in Los Angeles. Everyone's laughing. Come on.
Yeah.
No one actually believes that this Clippers team is better than LeBron's Lakers. But that's exactly what they do. They are better than the Lakers. They were first seed for a while, during Christmas.
Yeah, they were.
So this team, they were getting slept on. And then they started going down the standings. They traded away Tobias Harris. They trade away Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic. At this point,
they're tanking.
They're tanking. They're trying to get draft pick. They're trying to, get ready to make cap space for these free agents.
Yeah.
But what do?
They keep trying.
They get better. They move up to the 4th or 5th seed. Then they move down. They're in the playoffs. Then they're playing Golden State Warriors. So, it's going to be a 4-game, it's going to be a sweep. Get the broomsticks ready,
Right.
No, they don't. They win. They bring this to Game 6. Mm-hmm. They win Game 5. Doc Rivers has said this is the most resilient team he has ever coached in his NBA career. That means a lot. I mean, he's coached the Boston Celtics in 2008, 2009, 2010. He's coached Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen. But this team is the most resilient team. Look, in Game 5, they were not supposed to win.
No.
They were ready. Golden State.
Gentlemen sweep.
Golden State wasn't even thinking about them. They were thinking about the Houston Rockets.
Right.
And look, the first quarter, the Warriors had 41, first quarter points, and they made 8 3-pointers in that quarter. That's it. That's the recipe for disaster. You go in there, you're like, no. You're like, you know what? It's, we tried our best. Let's pack the bags. Let's go.
Yeah.
No, they're not finished yet.
Let's
not forget, this is the team that came back from 31. They're down 31 in Game 2.
Yeah.
So they came and they did just that because the Warriors, even later on in the game, they were up. The Warriors went on a run. They surged. You had Kevin Durant, made a 3 and took the lead back with 3 or 4 minutes remaining in the game. That should have been. That was it right there.
Yeah.
No. Lou Williams answers back. He gets a 4-point play. He gets the and one and converts the free throw.
Yeah.
The next possession, Steph Curry tries, to do his magic, and they force a turnover.
Yeah.
Then after that, Lou Williams, he takes Kevin Durant one-on-one. Lou Williams, Sweet Lou, my boy Sweet Lou, taking on KD one-on-one, and banks it. He banks
it
the
in.
shot. You remember that?
I do. That was awesome.
And then at that point, you're like, no, wait. Clippers might actually win this
game
again. Let's not forget, both of their playoff wins against Golden State have been away at Oracle Arena.
Yeah.
That amazes me, just that. That's amazing.
Crazy stat. This is the first time that the Warriors lost 2 in a row at home since they blew a 3-1 lead to the Cavs.
You want another one? Guess what the lead was before this?
3-1.
It was a 3-1 lead.
Game 5 they lost. Oh. Game 6? Who knows? Interesting. Very interesting. Listen, you gotta, and I'm not saying that's gonna happen. Obviously, it's still more unlikely to happen than happen. But you gotta look at Golden State, and they have a history of blowing big leads. And this is not just a 1 or 2 time thing, because obviously 3-1 that's burned in everyone's head. But you gotta also look 31-point lead to the Clippers and they blow it. Game 2, what happened there? You know, and again they had a lead in this game as well, and again they blew it again. Again, when it comes to really pressure and clutch situations, they never face as much adversity as these other teams. They're not used to being in those high pressure situations as much because they're so good. They never had to be. I think it's something that I think the Clippers, just like the Cavs in 2016, they're not scared of the Warriors, you know?
You know what really scares me?
They're not scared.
You know what really scares me?
What scares you?
The fact that the Warriors played a complete game. They had 41 points that first quarter.
Yeah.
They played a complete game. They played a good game.
KD
but
went off too.
The Clippers still won. The KD had like 45. But the Clippers still won.
Efficient.
And what I love about the Clippers is they all do it. You know, it's a team effort. You know, Lou Williams obviously went off.
Yeah.
Pat Beverly had 17 points. Guess how much rebounds he had?
14
rebounds?
Ridiculous.
Montrezl Harrell, the Houston Rockets reserve the other year, had 24 points, 79% from the field.
Can we talk about that efficiency?
Are you kidding?
80% from the field? That's ridiculous.
And that's another thing. The Warriors' defense, like, you know, the thing that worries me also about the Golden State Warriors is the lack of defense intensity. Mm-hmm. Look, and like there are rumors, you know, swirling around about Kevin Durant's impending free agency. I think that's really getting to Golden State. I feel like defense is a strong indicator of how cohesive the team plays together. And Golden State, it's the effort. And Golden State on the defensive end, their attitude was like, oh, we're just going to outscore them. But you can't do that now because the Warriors can't play defense now. And it's really troubling because against this Clippers team because, you know, the Warriors after the Clippers, they have to play James Harden.
Yeah.
Who is an offensive juggernaut. You know, the best offensive player in the game arguably right now in this season.
Yeah, it's close. It's close with KD, but definitely top 2. But
this season,
yes, I'll agree with you. Also, I'm
36 points to James Harden's
You're right. I'm deviating from the point. The point is the defense has definitely been off. The effort has been off. They seem complacent. They seem like they don't care. They seem like they've been there before. And you know, you don't see that cohesion. You know, I know the Warriors, as much as people hate them, they had great defensive intensity. They had great team effort. You look at them, Steph's cheering on with everyone. Everyone's having a great time. You know, I don't see it as much now. You know, it doesn't seem like that same tightness. And I think it's something that you got to keep in mind that the Clippers do have that.
All right, this way, okay. So, do you think next game tonight, which is tonight? So you guys are probably gonna see us tomorrow after they win or lose.
Yeah. So we're putting it on the line.
We're really putting it on the line because you're gonna see if we're right or wrong right now. Who's winning tonight's game?
My brain obviously wants to say the Golden State Warriors because last time that they won the Clippers, the Golden State Warriors destroyed the Clippers and they kind of showed them we're not getting complacent. We're gonna show you, but I'm giving it to the Clippers. So my heart says the Clippers, and I'm going with the Clippers. Okay, you gotta go with your heart sometimes. I'm going with the Clippers. Doc Rivers has something up his sleeve. Sweet Lou has been so clutch. Montrezl Harrell has been so efficient. You even seen Pat Beverly get into KD's mind.
Oh, it's so cute.
Listen, I know it's unlikely, and I know it's, you know, it's not, my brain's telling me it's stupid, but I want the Clippers to win. I think the Clippers will win tonight. I think they showed the heart. You know, they're going back to, you know, their home stadium.
So you say Game 7. You think it's Game 7.
I think maybe Warriors in 7, but there will be a Game 7.
You think there's going to be a Game 7?
There will be a Game 7, and again, we're very excited for it. Game 7 will be great. We'll see what happens then, but Game 7
it's going to happen. Because I feel like now the Warriors are angry. You know, they're angry. And you don't want to see the Golden State Warriors angry. Now people are questioning their identity. You saw Steve Kerr going off on them. You know, we're the 2-time, you know, NBA championship consecutive. You know, we won consecutive championships. I think the Warriors are angry. I think they're gonna go out. You know, they've won 2 straight. You know, in the Clippers arena. Right. So I think they're gonna go out and they're gonna kill it. They're gonna play very hard those first 2 quarters, and they're gonna build a huge lead. And maybe, just maybe, the Clippers might be able to come back. Look, I want to say Clippers also. But, I mean, I have to be logical. I have to say, you know, Warriors are going to win.
We'll see.
Sorry.
We'll see. I'm interested to see what happens. And for our next segment, we're going to talk about something that was crazy. There's been a lot of debate recently. The NFL draft. But we're not just talking about anything. We're talking about the Giants. The New York Giants with the number 6 pick.
How about them Giants?
What do they do, Sam, with this pick? This number 6 pick that they've been tanking for. What do they do with it?
I'll tell you what they did with it. They drafted a random guy from Duke named Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones?
Nope. It wasn't Dwayne Haskins.
Was it a name?
It wasn't Josh Allen.
Was it a name error or it wasn't Dwayne Haskins? It was Daniel Jones?
No, it was.
He was not even supposed to be a first-round pick.
Ranked 59th, I think. 59th ranked. And yet the Giants take him 6th overall. Now look, it's a gutsy pick. My guy is Dwayne Haskins. Dwayne Haskins from Ohio, the QB, threw for 50 touchdowns.
That's ridiculous.
He had a 12-1 record. He only lost one game, and he consistently improved the entire season. And yet, all these draft boards have him going 6. He, born and raised in New Jersey, he was a beloved Giants fan. And who do the Giants take?
Daniel Jones.
Look, Daniel Jones has ties to the Mannings. And, I'm sure Eli Manning and Peyton Manning definitely had a stake. They put in their word. I'm not even sure if Eli has the interest of winning anymore because guess what? What's Eli doing for them now?
Not much.
He
should just retire at this point.
He didn't do anything last year for them. Odell probably made them look even better than he actually was.
Yeah.
And look, so I don't even agree with the QB selection there. And not even to mention Drew Lock from Missouri. If you're going to do that, you can pick Drew Lock also.
Yeah.
But here's my other thing. So you take the gutsy pick. I don't agree with you. I'm not the draft expert. I'm not the I'm not the expert scout. But what happens is if a player is undervalued like that and he's going, he's projected to go, in the 30th or 29th,
then take him then.
You take it. You trade down. You gain more assets. Look what the Boston Celtics did in that draft with Markelle Fultz and Jason Tatum.
Right.
They like Jason Tatum. He was ranked lower, but they traded down and they got assets.
Right.
Do the same freaking thing.
He's gonna be around.
It's common
he's gonna
sense.
be around at pick 40.
And
so
look,
why do you have to pick him at
Josh
6?
Allen literally fell into your hands. You could have had Josh Allen, and then at the 16th pick or 17th pick, whatever they had, then you take Daniel Jones.
Yeah, because then he's
I still don't agree with.
That still would have been overreach, but it would have been the number 6. When you have such a high draft pick, you don't go crazy. You go consistent. You go what's safe. If you're going 31st pick, that pick doesn't have that much value already. Unless you're, in the NBA. But that pick doesn't have that much value already. Go crazy. Go for the moon. You know what I mean? Nuggets, they went for the 16th pick. They went for Michael Porter Jr. I like that, But if the 6th pick, you're not picking Michael Porter Jr.,
Michael Jr. is the 15th pick and he slipped to them.
Exactly.
That's completely different.
Okay, but the thing is, they could have, you could have drafted him 4 or 5, but if you can still get him at pick 15, you don't pick him at 4 or 5. Like you said, you trade down to get him. You're wasting your number 6 pick that you were tanking for, Because, like I said, he'll still be around after pick 6.
It's like picking Ramon Sessions 5th overall in the NBA.
Yes, you don't need to because he'll still be around. He'll still be there, And again, you'll get, Dwayne Haskins. He just seems like a better Daniel Jones, Again, maybe it's the ties. Maybe it's the whole.
As a GM, your goal is to collect the most assets possible, and that you could have gotten this guy 17th or 16th overall. So I'm bamboozled why you had to select that. You had to use a 6th pick where you could have gotten another top quality player whose demand was projected to go in that area, number 5s through 8 or whatever. Then you pick top tier player. You pick the best tier player, and then you later pick you use him. Use it on him.
The 6th pick's only valuable if you use it correctly. It's like money. Okay, you could have all the money in the world, but if you don't spend it, what does it matter? They have.
You get a little. Okay.
Does it not matter?
You also gotta save the money too. You gotta save the money too.
Okay, fine. I do finance. I get that. I'm just saying, if the money's locked in a vault, it doesn't matter if you have it or not. The thing is, they had the 6th pick, but they didn't make full usage of the 6th pick. Giants, people are really shitting on them, and I think somewhat deservedly so. Maybe we'll eat our words, and Daniel Jones will be the GOAT, but we'll see. I just think they could have did the safer play here.
I just think it's fun because now, Dwayne Haskins, he's drafted
to Washington
Redskins. He got a chip on the shoulder. He said, "This ain't it." What did he say? What was it called?
Man! Oh, damn! I gotta.
He said, "This ain't it."
Oh man!
Did the NFL done me wrong?
Yeah, something like that.
The NFL done me wrong.
They done me wrong.
No, not the NFL. The Giants done you wrong.
Okay, he didn't say all that.
You're gonna have every chance to prove to the Giants that you should have been the person they drafted because guess what? You're on the right Washington Redskins and they are in the Giants division. So you're going to be seeing the Giants, twice a year. And let's look at the Giants. The Giants could have had Dwayne Haskins, Saquon Barkley, and Odell Beckham Jr. That could have been a trio.
It could have
been a trio of Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham Jr., and Dwayne Haskins. And you trade Odell Beckham Jr., and then you don't draft Haskins. And I'm upset.
If you've seen his reaction, he just he shrugs it off. We could put up this clip once we edit the whole thing. But if you look at it, he finds out what happens, and he's just like, whatever, I'm moving on. I'm Dwayne Haskins. I don't need to beg for the Giants. Look, I don't know if you saw that, but he's just like that. But I think he wanted to go to the Giants too.
I think he was hurt. He was a fan. He
wanted to go to the Giants.
He liked him growing up.
He wanted to, and then at the end of the day, I don't know. They passed on him. A great opportunity too.
Yeah, I think the Giants are really going to regret this. You look at the division now. Their QBs that they have to face in their division: Dwayne Haskins of the Washington Redskins, Carson Wentz of the Philadelphia Eagles, and Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. So
right. A lot of
QBs there. So
young talent. They're going to get better and better. So hopefully, you hope that Daniel Jones outpaces them, but we'll see if that happens.
For sure.
Because they're set for a while.
Now I'm upset. I feel like I'm always upset sometimes in a second.
Anytime we talk about the New York teams, we get upset. Or you get upset.
What's the next?
But I think for the next segment, going back to the...
It's what
Oh, never mind.
Do it!
Hey.
All right, let's get on with the first. Contestant. We have Enes Kanter at his press conference after the Blazers, advance, against OKC. Let's check this out.
Okay. Well, first I would like to definitely thank Knicks for waiving me, and so that will never happen if they didn't waive me. But so I want to appreciate the whole Knicks organization.
Look, I love how he has an injury. He's injured too.
Yeah, he has the whole thing.
Hey man, if you would have stayed with the Knicks, then you would have had your injury. So maybe you should be thanking the Knicks. You guys got injured.
What are you doing, man?
And let's see the next segment we have. Okay, this is a good one. This is Klay Thompson after a win against the Clippers in Game 4. Let's see what he has to say.
What does it say about your team that on a day that Steph doesn't put up big numbers, that you guys still just handle your business?
Oh, it's strength in numbers, It's right here. Strength in numbers.
That's upside down.
My bad. But, we got so many talented players.
Oh, my God. Towel's upside down. Yo, strength in numbers upside down. Yeah, word ball's upside down. Let's put the word balls upside down. There we go. All right.
Freaking Klay.
Let's see, next one. Oh, my God, it's Klay also.
Oh, my God, he's back again.
It's the clown again.
Oh, my God.
What does it say now?
San Francisco Chronicle. Klay, whenever you feel like you have a bad game, I know you kind of try to, do something to get yourself going. Did you do anything the past couple days to get yourself going tonight?
Oh, man, I did a couple things. I didn't think I had bad games, but I didn't have any big games. I told Jonas yesterday, we went to the beach, played some volleyball. I'm like, I'm just going to go jump in the ocean. I just know that will reset my mind, and it worked. So I don't know if I'm going to jump up north because it's freezing, but something I'll definitely contemplate if I don't shoot the ball that well the rest of the year. But hopefully that doesn't happen.
Game 6 Klay, he's ready.
So Game 6, he happened in the Pacific Ocean,
He hopped in the ocean.
I mean, Steph Curry now can't see, he talks about his contacts. Klay Thompson has to go to the Pacific Ocean, so they both have, the Splash Bros have their, weird, kind of habits. And yeah, I guess the Splash Bro has to, splash in the Pacific Ocean. You like that one?
No, I don't.
All right.
Knew you were gonna go there too.
All right. Oh, let's check this. This is a good one. This is actually pretty funny. So I was actually watching Undisputed. I'm not even gonna spoil it. Let's just watch this. Watch Skip Bayless talk. Stupid.
The fourth quarter. It's a 1-point game, and Sweet Lou went completely south on me.
He made up
after I talked about him being a potential Hall of Famer.
What? You heard that too, right?
I think I heard potential.
Skip Bayless just called Lou Williams, a 6-man, a potential Hall of Famer.
I was talking about. I don't even want to try to defend this point.
That's why he's on. That's why he's not on First Take anymore.
Yeah, true.
You shouldn't even be on this. I mean, what?
True. We shouldn't even be talking about it, honestly.
Oh my! Are you kidding me?
I thought. Got wax in my ear. I don't know if I heard that right.
Let's check out this next one. This Magic Johnson. Let's see what Magic Johnson said.
Right,
if you guys didn't know, Magic Johnson actually released a cryptic tweet saying the truth will come out. So, here it is.
No way.
Man, I can't seem to find it. Okay, it's pretty weird.
He's lost. He's lost in the sauce.
Trademark.
Trademark.
Oh, there it is.
You got it. What? Oh my God, that's good. Yo.
It's the face, bro. The face.
Yo,
His
the
face.
the meme. Oh shoot, that's pretty good.
Nah, bro. Bro. Honestly, I actually heard a report about it that some emails were getting he was getting classified emails from Jeannie Buss to Rob Pelinka, and they were secretly accidentally he was getting copy on the messages. So they were basically talking smack about Magic Johnson's. Jeannie Buss was saying how bad the job Magic Johnson was doing, and Magic Johnson was getting the email in his inbox.
So bad. That's so bad. Oh my God. He's like that. Oh man, that's just tragic. And actually, I feel for him. That's sad. I feel for him. That hurts.
And then for our final, what you doing? It's your very own.
Oh my.
Let's show. You gotta show him.
Listen, I was trying to do my tie today. It wasn't fitting well.
Look at this. What's that?
Listen, honestly, okay, how about you stand up? Get up, Sam. This tie is too long, okay? My tie might be too short. This thing is too long. It shouldn't go past your belt, okay? This is improper fashion.
This is too short.
This is European style, all right? This is too long. I don't know what this man's doing. Probably got that off the street in a dumpster, all right?
Stop trying to avert the attention.
This is European.
Because you were the one. What are you doing?
This is European style.
I'm a professional here.
Guys, you know what, guys? The both of you, what you doing?
We're trying, okay? We're trying.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Andrew, come over here.
Enough of what you're doing for now. Enough of what you're doing. Let's get to the second round. We're going to predict the second round of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, boy.
We're going to start with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics.
That's going to be
Both of them swept their respective teams. Milwaukee swept Detroit in 4 games, and Boston swept Indiana in 4 games. So both of these teams are steamrolling, and they're on a collision course, and they're about to go at it. Who is it? Kyrie Irving and Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Keep going. I want to hear what you're. I want to hear what you're going to say. You're on a roll. What do you think? I'm deferring. Like Russell Westbrook should be doing in the clutch. I'm deferring. Paul George, go ahead.
Well, thank you, Russell Westbrook. I'm seeing you finally learning.
Yeah,
so
I'm learning.
I guess Mark Jackson must really help you out.
Yeah. Stretch 4, it's great. It helps a lot.
So look, I'm looking at this Milwaukee Bucks and Boston Celtics series. When I'm thinking about who the underdog is, because I'm thinking about who should be the underdog for this series, because it's tough. Because
that's
Milwaukee
an obvious
Bucks,
answer.
the Milwaukee Bucks are the number 1 team. While they're the number 1 team in the East, they have the best record. They finished with the best record in the NBA. I think the Bucks are considered the underdogs.
Oh my god.
The Bucks are considered the underdogs because look, the Boston Celtics
You're
have
crazy.
the Boston Celtics have made it to the conference finals 3 years in a row. They have so much playoff experience. Kyrie Irving has won a championship. They have championship pedigree. Guess what? Yeah, I know that the season's nice. They were first. They finished first in the NBA. But guess what? The season is not the playoffs. They're different. Okay?
Oh my
Guess
God.
what? The Milwaukee Bucks haven't made it out of the first round.
I can't believe the words you're saying.
The Milwaukee Bucks haven't made it out of the first round. This
is not the same Bucks.
This series against Detroit was the first time the Milwaukee Bucks got out of the first round in a while.
Okay.
Definitely ever since Giannis Antetokounmpo was there.
Listen, like Steph Curry, I might need context because I don't know if I'm looking at Sam or if I'm looking at Skip Bayless right now, okay? Some of these takes are getting ridiculous,
How
man.
dare you? How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare
Listen, the Bucks are 100% not the underdog. The Celtics are the underdog in the series. Yeah, it's great they made the conference finals without Kyrie and Gordon Hayward, but they look worse with Kyrie and Gordon Hayward. Explain that. The Bucks have been on a roll, and do you know why the Bucks haven't made it out the first round? Because they had Jason Kidd. I love him. Oh, actually, he had some questionable stuff, but great player. Don't get me wrong, but coach, not a good coach. And then, they're just. Leagues better than they were now. You surround Giannis with shooters. You have Brook Lopez, Mirotic. It's just unbelievably so much a better team. Now, I just want to give you some stats because stats don't lie, right? Men lie, women lie, but stats they never lie. Okay, so you gotta talk about Celtics. You gotta score, right? The Celtics average 99 points per game in the playoffs. Shockingly bad, 20 team assists per game. And keep in mind, this is against the Pacers without Oladipo. Now, they actually are an underratedly pretty good defensive team. But 99 points a game without the other team having their star player, alright, that's fine. How are the Bucks been doing? 121 points per game.
Wait,
and 28 assists per game.
Pacers are very good defensively. They
I
play
get
very
that.
cohesively together.
Does that explain the 22-point differential? Under 100 points per game in the modern NBA.
I'm not taking Milwaukee, but I'm saying when push comes to shove, the Boston Celtics have so much experience. Last year, Kyrie Irving, Gordon Hayward didn't even play, and they were 1 game away from dethroning King James and advancing to the finals against the Golden State Warriors. So how are you going to say to me?
Finals, did they?
They were 1 game away.
But
Milwaukee Bucks haven't even been out of the first round.
Last year, the Bucks brought the Celtics to 7.
Come on, you play against Detroit. Get a hold of yourself.
Last year, the Bucks took them to 7. And that was with this terrible coach, the terrible system, and Giannis has literally progressed so much every year. He's already so much better than he was last year, and he was. I can't believe you.
Look,
Listen,
I have to dismiss your notion right now that you're saying Milwaukee Bucks are the highest seed, so they're the favorites. Because look, last year the Houston Rockets were the number 1 seed. Golden State Warriors are the number 2 seed.
Oh,
you're gonna tell me
That's
that the Houston Rockets were favored in that series?
Oh,
it doesn't always go to the higher seed.
This is a 1 seed
You
and a 4
look at
seed.
the season before the season started. The Boston Celtics were heavily favored to go to the finals. Obviously, Milwaukee and Toronto and Philadelphia have been a lot better. So it's close. But the favorites are still Boston, and the underdogs are still. Yes,
Listen, that was the past.
They have to show. They
That
have
was
to
the
show them.
past.
Look, Milwaukee Bucks in the regular season are better than the Boston Celtics. But I need to see in the playoffs. I need to see Giannis go off. I need to see
He's
Milwaukee
gonna
Bucks
go
play.
off.
I need to see him play against Boston.
Listen,
I'm not sold on
I
that
think
yet.
you're enamored with the past and how it used to be. The Celtics is not how it used to be, okay? Listen, my prediction for this series, as the late great Brendan Jennings once said, after getting swept 4-0 or proceeding to get 4-0 swept by the Miami Heat, Bucks in 6. The Bucks are going to win this game in 6 games. They have 6 games. They have the monumental game changer that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Can't even say his name. Stevens, Brad Stevens is great, but again, 100 points per game. I just think the offense struggles are too much. They only have Kyrie really as their main crush for offense. I don't think it's going to hold up.
I think we're going to see, resurgence in Gordon Hayward. Obviously had the injury last year. And now I feel like, he played it full. He played this regular season. I think now he's catching the momentum. I think Jason Tatum, who hasn't been, himself in the regular season, is going to go off. Brad Stevens is going to be, he's going to be coaching excellent. Kyrie Irving has championship pedigree. Boston in 7. Boston will go on the road and beat Milwaukee in their home court in Game 7.
No way Boston wins on the road, too. But, fair enough.
Let's get on to the next playoff matchup we want to talk about. We want to talk about the Philadelphia 76ers and the Toronto Raptors. Toronto beating Orlando in 5 games. Philadelphia beating Brooklyn in 5 games. Also, they both beat the same amount.
Same kind of thing.
What do you see going on for this series? And who do you think is more important to their team? Joel Embiid or Kawhi Leonard?
That's a great question, but I think it also has a pretty definitive answer in Kawhi Leonard. I think people have, again, underrated Kawhi because he's been out of the playoffs for a while. He's been with the injury concerns and stuff like that. People forget that Kawhi was regarded as, in 2017, the number 1 two-way player in the game over LeBron James. And this is when LeBron James has still been amazing on defense and such. He was considered the number 1 2-1 player in the game. People consider him above KD. And now we're seeing... Two-way player. We're seeing why that was the case. You bring amazing defense, and then you have great offense because 28 points per game, 56%. Again, these are your stats. I'm sorry for stealing them. But, you got to look at what he's providing to the team overall. It's insane. And the thing is, I'm not saying Joel Embiid's not valuable. He's still scoring a ton of points very efficiently, and he has great defense. But Kawhi Leonard, he is the main cog of their offense. I think everyone else supports him. The offense, it kind of almost defers to him. Him and Siakam. You look at the Sixers. They have Redick. They have Simmons. They have Harris. They have they have Butler. I can't remember all the all-star level players that they have. I think you take them away from each team, Sixers will still be pretty okay. The Raptors will struggle a lot.
Again, I cannot agree with you more. Good job. I actually agree with something. I'm a little happy. So, but look, here's my So basically, you take away both. My test is you take away both these players from their respective team. So you take away Joel Embiid from the Philadelphia 76ers. You replace him with Boban Marjanovic. It's Philadelphia 76ers starting lineup. You got Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, JJ Redick, and you have Boban.
He can't play starter minutes.
Joel Embiid obviously is huge to that team. I think Joel Embiid's probably their best player. But
I would agree.
We look at Toronto Raptors. If you take away Kawhi Leonard from that team, they're not. There's a reason why Toronto is doing their best. There's a reason why they traded for him. They gave away their franchise cornerstone, DeMar DeRozan, because Kawhi Leonard, when healthy, is a top-tier superstar. He is a superstar.
He is a superstar.
Top-tier talent.
Yes. Definitely agree.
He does it on both ends, as you said. In the last playoff series against Orlando, he averaged 28 points on 56% shooting.
Yeah.
Defensively, he's huge for that team.
Of course.
That team has versatile defenders, by the way. You look at their starting lineup with Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam,
all the shooters
and Marc Gasol.
Yes.
Wait, did I forget someone? Oh yeah, forgot Serge Ibaka.
Yeah,
who was also devastating on the defensive end.
Yeah.
But let's get back to Kawhi Leonard. Great defensively, great offensively. He does it on both ends. And the ball goes through him, with time going on the clock, in the clutch. Who are you going to in the clutch? Who is going to be your go-to man? It is going to be the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. Joel Embiid, I like Joel Embiid.
Me too,
but,
yes.
For a big man, it's hard to get that in the clutch, You have Jimmy Butler, you got Tobias Harris, you have so many other options on that team, and I feel like they take away from Joel Embiid. So if Joel Embiid's not playing, you still have them.
Yeah.
With Toronto, there is no alternative. Your offense must run through Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, and one thing I love about Kawhi is he always steps it up in the playoffs. Like, he's great in the regular season, and he gets it to another level, you know? You talk about LeBron having a switch, Kawhi has a switch too, you know? He really just turned it on in the playoffs every time he brings it. Again, look at 2017, what happened when he got Zaza'd. Before that, they were up, that still makes me upset, by the way, but they were up, 29 points? And, again, he got injured. But
exactly.
You see what he could bring, and this was against an insanely good Golden State team with Kevin Durant. So again, I would love to see what Kawhi does. I think that the Raptors are taking it. Maybe 6 games. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the Sixers will put up a fight, but I think they have all the talent. But I just come playoffs, it's hard. Ben Simmons, no jumper. It's hard. It's very easy to game plan against the Sixers. You know?
I think what we're going to be talking about after the series, it's going to be the defense of the Toronto Raptors and how they were able to lock up Philadelphia. They were able to lock them up, put them in chains. This line, Kyle Lowry, Danny Green, a two-way player, 3-and-D, one of the best in the league has ever seen. We got Kawhi Leonard, another amazing two-way player. Yeah. Pascal Siakam, you know, caddy for most improved player. Defensively, I don't have to say anything about him. Marc Gasol, let's not forget about this. Marc Gasol, a couple years ago, Marc Gasol, you know, he's on Memphis against Golden State when they don't have Kevin Durant. He brought them to 6 games. Golden State beat them in 6 games. Yeah. It was all because of Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol defensively, he does a lot for that team. He also, assist-wise, he passes. Such a great big man with amazing court vision.
Yeah.
And look, this team's allowed the fewest defensive points in the playoffs so far, 96 points.
That's ridiculous.
And
the Magic is not a slump, by the way. I just want to put that out there. The Magic, you know, they were actually the 4th or 5th best team after the All-Star break. You know, the record doesn't indicate how good of a team that actually was. And you look at how much they locked them up. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but totally, their defense is actually, again, underrated.
Okay, 3rd in steals also. But here's my favorite one. This is because I feel like this one is going to be the stat that we're talking about. They allow the 2nd fewest points in the paint. Did you hear that, Ben Simmons? Yeah. 2nd fewest points in the paint. Ben Simmons likes to generate his points in the paint. Sorry, Ben Simmons, it's not going to happen against Pascal Siakam or Serge Ibaka. More like Serge Ibaka. And then Marc Gasol. It ain't going to happen. And because you can't shoot perimeter shots, so you're going to get exploited. And that entire Philadelphia 76ers team, since they revolve around you as the ball handler, it is not, and Jimmy Butler also likes to get his shots in the paint. They're not going to let you go in the paint. They're going to bully you out of the paint. They're going to force you to make jump shots. The series is going to be J.J. Redick and Tobias Harris. It's going to be up to them to make jump shots, which they will not do against Kawhi Leonard and that offensive juggernaut system that Nick Nurse has placed in Toronto. Toronto in 6.
Completely agree. They're not going to make shots consistently like that. Not enough to beat the Raptors.
Facts. All right.
Facts.
Do you want to end off your segment? Or next one?
You mean to start the next one?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm letting you do this time.
Of course.
I'm Paul George. God. I have to defer also. You know, if we want to have a title run, I have to defer too.
Two-way street. It's a two-way street. I respect that. For our next segment and our final segment, we'll be talking about, again, not trying to, I'll just get up the segment. We'll be talking about the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. If it's Houston Rockets and it's the Clippers, we're just saying. But again, Houston Rockets for Golden State Warriors. What's going to happen? I mean, we saw what happened last year. Houston Rockets taking them 7 games, and then they almost beat them, and then 0 for 27. 27 consecutive, well, not 0 for 27, but 27 consecutive missed 3-pointers. Is this going to happen again? Will they even get in a position where that matters, or will they just lose in 5? What's happening?
What's happened for me? So, look. Here's what I'm thinking about, okay? Because I'm trying to complete the sentence in my head. I'm trying to complete the sentence. The Rockets will beat the Warriors if blank. What do the Rockets need to do in order to beat the Warriors? There's a lot of things. At first, if you were going to ask me this, in the beginning of the season, I would have said the Rockets will beat the Golden State Warriors if Steph Curry gets injured because he's the engine of that team. That is the only way you're going to get past the Golden State Warriors. But now, the Warriors look very vulnerable. And yes, by the way, I'm saying Houston Rockets versus Golden State Warriors. Warriors are going to advance over the Clippers, okay? I'm sorry. I know the series isn't technically finished. It's destined to happen. They're on a crash course. It is going to happen. It is not a matter of if. It is a matter of when. But let's get back to what I was saying, okay? So, Houston Rockets, first off, James Harden, you can't do that. Not allowed. You cannot choke anymore, okay? I'm tired of seeing you choke. You have to be MVP form. James Harden, you have to ball out. These last 3 seasons, your 3-point percentage, because for me, look, James Harden, my problem with him is his regular season stats, he always done so well. Ridiculous. And in the playoffs, all his stats diminish, and his play, it just diminishes. He chokes, and he doesn't play as well. Efficiency completely goes down.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the last 3 seasons, his three-point percentage was 36%. In the playoffs, those last 3 seasons, those last 3 playoffs, down from 36 to 29%.
29 is not going to cut it.
Even in this series, but like I'm scared because in this series against Utah, obviously MVP James Harden was averaging 36 points on 44% shooting. In the playoffs against Utah, instead of averaging 36 points, he goes down to 28 points.
Yeah.
Instead of averaging 44%, now he's shooting less efficiently at 37%. So we're seeing signs of choking, which is getting me, quite evidently worried because James Harden has to be peak form if they want to have, a fighting chance to go past Golden State. And number 2, Chris Paul, you got to be there. You got to show up and play. And you got to stay healthy, okay? You look very shaky this season, and you scared me. He hasn't been playing as well. You see he's not 100% from that injury. I think he's averaging like 15 points. Like, that's not going to do it against Golden State. Like, it's 16 points, 42%. That's not going to do enough for Chris Paul, okay? We looked at the series last year against Golden State. He averaged 21 points and 46%. You had to average over 20 points for this series. You gotta be the ball dominant. You gotta be a ball dominant ball handler.
Yeah.
A ball dominant ball handler. Okay.
I like that. Okay.
You gotta be a ball dominant ball handler. I like that too. Okay. So you gotta average over 20 points. Because James Harden, look, I love James Harden, and he's a very great in the ISO, but you need someone else. We saw that in the last 2 games of last year when Chris Paul was injured. They couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So you need that second guy to step up. The person to step up for me, it's going to be Chris Paul. Chris Paul is going to step up. He's been resting all season. I'm confident. I'm nervous that he hasn't been looking good, but I'm thinking that's because he's resting it up because he knows he was saving it all for Golden State so he wouldn't get injured again.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping he does that.
Just like you were saying, I think the biggest thing is, have regular season James Harden be in this playoffs, because again, we haven't really seen it that much, and again, the Rockets still 1-5, which is great, because it shows that they don't need James Harden to go off to win against the Jazz, which is a good sign. But you also want him to go off against the Golden State Warriors because I don't think you'll have that same leading seed. This is still the Golden State Warriors, even though they're getting taken to 6, maybe 7 by the Clippers. They're still the Golden State Warriors.
They're looking vulnerable though. They really are.
They do look vulnerable. I think this is the most vulnerable they've been in the last 4 years. I think the biggest thing is the efficiency for James Harden. Like you said, I don't think it's such a bad thing if he goes from 36 points a game to 28. 28 points a game, still a lot of points. And if he's taking on more facilitating role, that's great. He's opening up good looks for his teammates.
I think he needs less facilitating role.
You think so?
James Harden, yeah.
Okay,
he needs to defer to Chris Paul, and Chris Paul has to be there for him.
Yeah, but my biggest problem is just the efficiency. 44% to 37%. 37%, I don't know if that'll cut it. One saving grace is that the Houston Rockets play the Golden State Warriors particularly well. Because they have an ISO offense, the Rockets, and they go against the Golden State Warriors, who have a very ball movement, So the ISO, if you're able to do it successfully, will have less turnovers and is, more reliable in the clutch. James Harden by himself scored almost double than the next team in ISO by himself. So you look at it, and that's the whole game plan with the Rockets. I think the biggest thing, again with the health, is the stamina. The effort and the stamina. Because last year you saw they had like a 6.5, 7-man rotation. This year they're a lot more deep. I actually think this year Rocket team is actually better than last year.
I'm sorry.
I really do. No, I really do. But maybe the starting 5 is not as talented. But again, James Harden has improved. Chris Paul has regressed a bit. But also you look at the depth that they have. Last year I think they could have beat Golden State, but they were gassed. James Harden was gassed at the end. He would have had no energy for his jump shots. And again, that's why they went 0 for 27.
There are 2 things I really like out of this, because first off, instead of having to wait to the conference finals to play Golden State,
they're playing now.
You play them a series earlier, and for me, the earlier you play Golden State, the more you can catch them off guard. Because for the Houston Rockets, you want to play the best team as quickly as possible. Not only to catch the Warriors off rhythm, but also for Chris Paul's health. Because the farther you go into the playoff series, the greater of a chance that Chris Paul gets injured. And also, I was very upset when the Houston Rockets lost the game at Utah, and I was like, damn, Chris Paul really could have used that rest against Golden State.
Yeah.
And then Golden State just loses against the Clippers out of nowhere, which is amazing for Chris Paul. Gets extra days to rest now.
Yeah, totally.
So that was huge, and I really feel like that's going to help Houston, you know, in terms of fatigue and stamina, that's gonna really help with that. And also, again, like Golden State, they look a little vulnerable defensively.
You know, I think the Warriors are a team that like they start out a bit slow, but once they're in a groove, they're done. You know, like that's a wrap. But the thing is, they have to get into that groove first, and like you said, the earlier the rounds, the better. You know, because I think come third round, fourth round, they're in a groove by then. They're in championship form. But again, they have to warm up to that. You know, you spend 82 games kind of coasting a bit. It takes a little while to get right there. You know, people talk about the switch. It doesn't happen just like that, though. You know, you have to kind of warm up back into it. And I think the sooner they do it, the better. And the more games that the Clippers take off the Warriors, the better. Again, more rest, like you said, for Chris Paul, James Harden. The biggest thing is that they don't get gassed. And to be honest, they're having a lot more rest than they had last year. And it's a great sign. The deeper rotation, more rest. I think they're keeping that in mind. And I really do think the Rockets will take it in 7.
Yeah. You think the Rockets in 7?
I really do think the Rockets will again, this is the most vulnerable. If the Clippers take off 2 games.
That's a hot take.
If the Clippers can take off 2 games, the Rockets can win the series. That's my opinion.
No, it's respectable. Like again, like looking at like the Clippers series, something I got out of it was like Lou Williams, who's like a great ISO scorer. Yeah. Look what he's doing with the Warriors. You know, if he's doing that, James Harden is like on a whole different level.
Which have an MVP doing that.
But I feel like Golden State, like when they advance against the Los Angeles Clippers, they're gonna be like ready. They're gonna be hyped to face Houston Rockets. They're not gonna, they're gonna play defense. They're gonna be ready to go. And I can't. If I knew Harden would play in his MVP form, like regular season, and Chris Paul would play better, I could maybe give the Houston Rockets, maybe.
Damn, even then maybe.
Maybe,
wow.
But it would be 7 games. It would be 7 games.
Wow. Can I just?
But I have to give Golden State. I have to give Golden State 6. They're gonna win 6 games.
All right,
the Golden State's gonna win 6 games.
The last point I want to say is I think the biggest kind of thing will be how well Iguodala is able to lock up Chris Paul / James Harden, because last series he did a very good job of locking up Chris Paul and James Harden. Yeah, and I think it matters if they can do that again, because the thing is, when you have a great ISO scorer like that, you need a great ISO defender. And honestly, Andrew Iguodala is that person for the Warriors. He legitimately is one of the best defensive players on that team.
Agreed.
And I think it depends, especially come playoffs. Again, they rest him in the regular season, so he's really good for the playoffs. And it matters if, they can James Paul, sorry, what? I really messed up right now. James Harden and Chris Paul could consistently beat Iguodala ISO one-on-one. I think Harden will be able to do it, but the thing is, how efficiently? Is it going to be 36%?
Yeah.
Is it going to be, you know what I mean? Percentage. It's all about the percentage, because you only get a certain amount of possessions per game. It depends, because if Harden's scoring 30 points a game on 30% or 35%, they'll take that, And to be honest, I hate to say it, but it's possible. He's already scoring 29%, it's possible. So we got to see, because, Jazz, they're a great defensive team, but again, Warriors, they're also no slouches.
Before we finish the segment, notable, like you said, Iguodala was actually injured, last year in the series, and that's when Houston, was really capitalizing. So you might have a point there with Andre Iguodala's health, and health is huge. Health is crucial on both ends of the team. Andre Iguodala and Chris Paul, they have to be healthy for their respective teams in order for either of them to have a chance at winning.
I do think that Golden State would have closed it out in 5, honestly, with the Iguodala last series.
Really?
Or last year, I really do. Just the way that they were playing them was so different, and they just barely won Game 5 and 6. But again, that's a whole different problem. I
can't wait, because honestly, I feel like if the Golden State Warriors are going to lose, it's going to be against Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
So honestly,
it's going to be an exciting series.
It's going to be a really exciting series.
This is the best second round.
I can't wait.
Almost.
This is going to be an amazing second round for all, because you have Celtics against Bucks, Toronto against Philly, and this series.
This is we
didn't get. Oh yeah, quick prediction before we finish, because we didn't have time to get to the San Antonio Spurs and the Nuggets. Quick prediction: who's taking Game 7?
I think Nuggets are taking Game 7.
I agree with you. I think Nuggets taking Game 7.
Yeah.
All right, and that's what we have for you guys today. Thanks for watching, and we're signing off.
Yeah. Thank you. Woo.